Team Bitcoin shelling out the most recent Bitcoin news. Let's go. Real estate firm Morano to build Bitcoin Treasury with 500 million equity deal. I've never heard of this company. They're out of Mexico. I'm assuming it's a hotel chain, but 500 million seems pretty significant. So I had to go back and look up the value of this company in July 2025. The internet says they're worth $889 million. So to take on $500 million worth of debt when you're an $889 million company seems pretty significant. That's a bold move. And it falls in line with GameStop and what they announced a few weeks ago. They also mentioned that they were going to explore avenues to allow customers to pay in Bitcoin, which I find very interesting because when we come to the point of transacting daily in Bitcoin, that's game over by far. Now, talking about Bitcoin Treasury companies. What is a Bitcoin Treasury company? It's essentially a company, well, according to Google, a Bitcoin Treasury company is a business that holds a significant portion of its assets in Bitcoin. This strategy is often used as a way to hedge against inflation, diversify investments, or as a long-term store of value. Meaning, if I store my value in cash, that's going to erode over time. Bitcoin, over the last 18 years, hasn't done that. It's gone nothing but up. So, companies are not necessarily focused on cryptocurrency as their primary business. Rather, they're adopting Bitcoin as a treasury asset, similar to how a traditional company might hold cash or other financial instruments. So, one of the key takeaways for the second half of 2025 is Bitcoin Treasury companies are becoming a dominant force in the crypto market, a trend that analysts expect to continue in the second half. So it's a supply and demand issue. If the demand of purchasing and adding Bitcoin to balance sheets of public and private companies is growing, supply is limited, it becomes more scarce, and the price has to go up. Now here at BitcoinTreasuries.net, it actually lists who owns the most Bitcoin. So right now, MicroStrategy, no surprise there. Michael's been collecting that for about 5 years now and owns almost 600,000 Bitcoin. Going down the list, Tesla's on there. I remember when he was pulling the trigger and adding it to that balance sheet, still holds it. GameStop, we talked about that a while ago, 4,710 Bitcoin there. This hotel chain right here should be very close to the GameStop holdings. So I'm going to rank them probably about 9, bumping Hun 8 Mining Corp down. The key takeaway though is this adoption is going to accelerate Bitcoin prices. And it's not only public and private companies that are buying it. If you take a look at this graph, it's basically breaking up private companies, governments, public companies, exchanges, DeFis, and look at that. ETFs, exchange traded funds, are eating up the supply of Bitcoin. The popularity of IBIT and the Fidelity one and the ARK investment fund, the ability to trade Bitcoin like a stock on the NASDAQ or the S&P 500 is amazing. You can get in and out, minimal commissions, not a lot of hassle. It's very liquid. And those funds, in my opinion, are going to continue to grow and they're going to eat up the supply of Bitcoin, further pushing it higher, higher, and higher. Now, one thing to note is IBIT is actually keeping their Bitcoin. BlackRock, as they buy up the Bitcoin, when there's an outflow, they're not actually selling right now, which is interesting because they're taking a page from MicroStrategy. So I could see a scenario where BlackRock exceeds MicroStrategy in Bitcoin holdings. If that happens, I'm going to reference this video. I'm going to say you heard it here first. Interesting thought. Now, As far as MicroStrategy, this could be a potential negative. I think it's kind of a yawn. It basically says MicroStrategy did not buy Bitcoin for the first time in 3 months. That just means in the last week they didn't buy any. Maybe they think the price is a little high, could be pulled back. I don't think that's the case. I think they're just trying to leverage and tap every revenue source they can, and they're probably running out of avenues to do that. They just had a huge bond issue that was very successful, but it's hard to do that weekly. So we'll see how this goes. This is something to monitor, but they're not selling, they're holding. Stay tuned tomorrow for the most latest Bitcoin news. I'll let you know how I'm profiting from it, but iBit right now is really, through options, how I'm profiting big time on Bitcoin. Love it, love it, love it. If we hit 1,000 subscribers, I will share exactly how I'm doing that. Take care.